Raiders Nation, this is serious. There's real trouble brewing in Las Vegas. One of the most crucial players on the roster, star left tackle Kolton Miller, is reportedly nowhere close to a new deal, and that should set off alarm bells for every Raiders fan who cares about this team's future. Kolton Miller isn't just another lineman. He's the backbone of this offensive line. Without him, everything changes. The quarterback protection collapses, the run game stalls, and the entire offense gets pushed off rhythm. And yet, as of right now, there's a growing disconnect between Miller and the Raiders front office when it comes to his next contract. Before we dive deeper into the latest details, make sure to subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss a major update about the Silver and Black. All right, let's get back to it. Sources, including trusted Raiders insider Vincent Bonsignore, have confirmed the gap between Miller and the team is real, and it's wide. Miller himself has gone on record saying, "I want to be a Raider for life. I love it here." But saying it and signing it are two different things. And here's why this matters more than ever. The Raiders are thin at tackle. Beyond Kolton, there's no guaranteed starter at right tackle. DJ Glaze shows promise, sure, but he's unproven. That's not what you want protecting your QB's blind side. The offense is loaded with potential. Juno Smith at quarterback, Ashton Jeanty in the backfield, Brock Bowers at tight end. But all of that crashes without a solid O-line. And here's the kicker. There's talk Miller may not suit up without a deal. He's already skipped optional work, which could be the first sign of a holdout strategy. This isn't just a minor contract delay. It's a red flag for a team trying to build something serious in 2025. If the Raiders don't lock this down soon, it could derail everything before the season even begins. We'll keep watching this situation closely, and you should too. Stay locked in right here for every twist and turn in the Raiders' off-field battles. The silence from Kolton Miller's camp speaks volumes. But when ESPN's Jeremy Fowler dropped that report, it became crystal clear. Miller wants his new deal, and he's willing to make noise to get it. Earlier this offseason, Miller chose to sit out of team activities, even if they weren't mandatory. That's not a coincidence. His absence sent a message to the Raiders' front office, a message that likely sparked closed-door conversations with General Manager Tom Telesco or other key decision-makers in the building. Maybe they gave him a quiet assurance, show up and we'll handle it. But now it seems that promise is stuck in limbo. And here's the real concern. If Miller was already willing to sit out once, don't be surprised if he does it again. This time, when it really matters, training camp, preseason, even the regular season, he's not bluffing, and the Raiders can't afford to call that bluff. Just look around the league. Players sitting out for contract extensions isn't new, and it's only becoming more common. We've seen it with stars across the NFL, even inside the Raiders' own locker room. Remember Max Crosby? Before he inked his deal, he made it very clear he wanted to be paid. The Raiders stepped up. They need to do the same for Kolton, because the offensive line isn't a luxury, it's the foundation. And the Raiders line, while promising, is still developing. Center Jackson Peeds Johnson looks like a long-term anchor. Guards like Dylan Parham are growing into their roles. At right tackle, the future may lie in DJ Glaze or Charles Grant, but both still need time. Kolton Miller, he's already that guy. He's the veteran, the leader, the one lineman who can't be replaced overnight. If the Raiders are serious about building a winning culture, one that protects Juno Smith and unlocks Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty, then getting Kolton Miller signed isn't optional. It's urgent. Let's be clear. This Raiders offensive line has real potential, young talent, high upside. But take Kolton Miller out of the equation, and the whole thing starts to wobble. Right now, Vegas has a promising mix of young linemen. Players like Caleb Rogers, who cost the team a third-round pick, are part of a longer-term strategy. Guys like Jackson Johnson and Dylan Parham are still developing, but they're all in their early years. Rookies, second-year, third-year players. And that's exactly why Kolton Miller matters so much. He's not just a top 10 left tackle in the league, he's the anchor in a sea of youth. Without him, the Raiders' offensive line instantly shifts from underrated and rising to uncertain and unstable. Think about this. If Kolton Miller's not on the field, who's replacing him? Charles Grant? He's raw. A developmental project, not ready to handle edge rushers at the NFL level. Thayer Munford, more comfortable on the right side, and still inconsistent. And if DJ Glaze doesn't make the leap at right tackle, suddenly the Raiders are looking at two unproven tackles protecting their quarterback. And that's a recipe for disaster. Here's the overlooked truth. Offensive tackles age like fine wine. The great ones only get better with time. Look at Lane Johnson, still elite in his mid-30s, or Trent Williams, who continued to dominate well into his 30s. Kolton Miller is only 28. His prime is now, and his ceiling is still rising. The Raiders have a golden opportunity to build something special on the offensive line, but that only happens if Kolton Miller is at the heart of it. Kolton Miller is entering his prime, and the Raiders can't afford to let a franchise cornerstone drift into contract limbo. He came into the league lean but explosive, a rare athlete for a left tackle, and now, with a fully developed frame and years of NFL experience under his belt, Miller's physical tools are better than ever. He's stronger, smarter, and still has that elite flexibility that separates the good tackles from the great ones. At just 29, Miller could easily give the Raiders 5 more years of high-level play, and that's being conservative. So, what's the holdup? Let's be honest, a 3-year extension in the $18 to $20 million per year range isn't breaking the bank for a premium position like left tackle, especially when you're locking in someone who's already proven his value on the field and in the locker room. If Vegas acts now, they secure a top-tier left tackle through the most critical years of this offensive rebuild. Delay too long, and you risk damaging continuity on a line that's just starting to take shape. And while contract talks with Miller continue to linger, the focus has to remain sharp. Finish the deal and stabilize the line. Because every piece of this offense, from quarterback protection to the success of Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty, relies on consistency in the trenches. No distractions, no gambles. Get it done and build forward. For years, the Las Vegas Raiders danced around the quarterback position, always flirting with big names, but never fully committing. Brady rumors, Rodgers speculation, quarterback buzz that led nowhere. But this offseason, something changed. The Raiders finally made a real move. They didn't just settle. They chose their guy and acted like a franchise with a vision. By trading for Geno Smith, the Raiders broke a long-running trend of hesitation at the most important position in football. They gave up a third-round pick, not a franchise-altering haul, and in return, they got a proven veteran who can step in and lead this offense. It's not a reckless gamble, it's a calculated upgrade, and NFL executives have taken notice. One high-ranking league official called the move a smart bridge, noting that while the Raiders may still draft a quarterback in the near future, they have now bought themselves time and stability. For the first time in a long time, there's clarity under center in Las Vegas, and that clarity changes everything. It gives young offensive weapons like Brock Bowers, Ashton Jeanty, and a developing O-line something they've never truly had. Consistency at quarterback. It's not a flashy blockbuster. It's not a panic signing. It's a controlled, strategic shift. And for a franchise that spent years watching other teams take bold steps forward, the Raiders finally made a move that feels like progress. The Las Vegas Raiders didn't just acquire Geno Smith, they did it smart. They gave up a third-round pick, didn't overpay, and didn't lock themselves into some massive long-term contract. That's not just a quarterback upgrade. It's a flexible, forward-thinking move. It gives the Raiders a capable leader right now without tying their hands for the future. They're not stuck with a long-term gamble. They're set up to compete immediately and still draft a quarterback if the right one comes along in the next couple of years. Behind the scenes, league executives are recognizing it too. The consensus? Las Vegas made a move that puts them in position to compete now, without mortgaging the next 3 to 5 years. It's exactly the kind of decision smart franchises make. And the front office deserves credit, a lot of it. GM Tom Telesco and assistant GM John Spytek didn't just patch holes, they flipped the team's identity. In the past 2 seasons, they've transformed a stagnant offense into a potential scoring machine. Look at what's changed. Brock Bowers, a generational tight end talent, Ashton Jeanty, a dynamic playmaker out of the backfield, Trey Tucker, Dante Thornton, Jack Besh, all bringing speed and explosion. Michael Mayer, still developing, but firmly in the team's plans. And that's just on offense. The Raiders didn't just grab names, they built a balanced roster, one with weapons at every level. This isn't the same team that was clinging to aging contracts and waiting on average quarterback play. This is a new era, fast, aggressive, and strategically sound. The front office didn't just make noise, they've made progress. There's a different energy around the Raiders right now. This roster isn't just improving, it's taking real steps toward contention. You can see it in the draft picks, you can feel it in the building. The team isn't just hoping to make the playoffs anymore, they're moving toward expecting it. In back-to-back drafts, the Raiders may have hit on 3 future stars. Last year's class brought foundational talent. This year, it's already showing promise. One name that's turning heads fast is Ashton Jeanty, the 6th overall pick. There's growing confidence that he's going to be a game changer in this offense. The Raiders are slowly building a roster that's deeper, younger, and far more explosive than it's been in years. But it's not just the offensive side of the ball making noise. At linebacker, a surprise name is quietly earning the trust of the coaching staff. Cody Lindenberg, a 7th-round rookie, is getting serious reps with the second-team defense. And according to inside reports, he's wearing the green dot, the communication helmet typically reserved for defensive leaders. That's not nothing. While veterans like Devin White, Alondon Roberts, and Jermaine Pratt lead the way, the Raiders are preparing Lindenberg as a key backup, possibly even the next man up if a starter goes down. Some expected Amari Gaynor or Tommy Eichenberg to take that role, but right now, Lindenberg is separating himself. And don't overlook the Pete Carroll factor. This was his first defensive draft pick as head coach. That likely carries weight. The Raiders are making quiet, smart moves across every layer of the roster. Stars are rising, depth is improving, leadership is emerging, and that's how contenders are built. Here's what's really catching attention out of camp. Cody Lindenberg, a 7th-round rookie, is getting green dot responsibilities. And that's not something you hand out lightly. It's especially interesting considering the expectation that Amari Gaynor might step into that role. After all, Gaynor flashed last preseason and showed physicality against NFL-caliber talent. But despite that, the coaching staff seems to be betting big on Lindenberg. This isn't a knock on Gaynor, it's a signal. The Raiders appear to see long-term upside in Lindenberg. And if Alondon Roberts, who's on a short-term deal, were to miss time, the staff may already be prepping Lindenberg to step in. This shift could reflect Pete Carroll's early influence on the defensive side. As the new head coach, Carroll may be leaning into his first draft class, looking to mold players who match his vision, smart, fast, and able to execute complex roles early. Still, don't count Gaynor out. This defense is going to lean on rotational depth, especially at linebacker. Players like Jermaine Pratt could see hybrid usage, closer to the line of scrimmage in some base sets. In that scenario, Gaynor may still emerge as the go-to fill-in, depending on the package and opponent. The early edge goes to Lindenberg, but training camp will be the true proving ground. One thing's certain, the linebacker battle is heating up, and it's far from over.